guy, he's pulling it.
Why does a trace mineral block designed for cattle cost $3 at Tractor Supply, while a mineral block designed for deer costs $22 to $35 at Cabela's Gut, when the active ingredients on both labels are the same compounds? Because I spent a Saturday morning at a farm supply store in southern Iowa, that rolling crop and timber country between Ottumwa and Chariton, where the whitetail buck density is among the highest in the Midwest, holding a $4 Champion's Choice Trace Mineral Salt Block in one hand, and a $22 bag of Evolved Habitat's deer cane in the other, reading the ingredient lists on the back of both packages out loud to my buddy who was standing in the aisle looking at me like I had lost my mind. The Trace Mineral Block lists sodium chloride, zinc sulfate, manganese sulfate, copper sulfate, cobalt carbonate, calcium iodate, and sodium selenite. The deer cane lists sodium chloride, calcium, phosphorus, zinc, manganese, and a proprietary blend of attractant flavors, same base minerals. Same delivery format. One costs $4 for a 50-pound block that lasts 3 to 4 months. The other costs $22 for a 5-pound bag of powder that lasts 4 to 6 weeks. I stood in that aisle and did the math. The Trace Mineral Block delivers roughly 12.5 pounds of mineral per dollar. The deer cane delivers roughly 0.3 pounds per dollar. The livestock block provides 40 times more mineral per dollar spent. 40 times. Before I go further, check your state regulations. Mineral blocks and mineral-based attractants are classified as baiting in roughly 20 to 25 states. If your state restricts mineral sites, a livestock block falls under the same rules as a commercial deer mineral product. 5 minutes on your state wildlife agency website protects your tag and your record. If you have used a livestock trace mineral block as a deer attractant and tracked the results on camera, I want to hear the comparison. Stay until the end, because there is a specific placement technique involving a chainsaw and a rotting stump that turns a $4 block into a 6-month mineral site that deer excavate into a crater. And the old-timer who showed it to me has been doing it since the 1980s, on a ranch in northeastern Oklahoma. The surface understanding is price. You are paying less for the same minerals. That is true, and it is the reason most hunters who discover this trick switch immediately. But the deeper question is whether deer respond to a livestock mineral block the same way they respond to a product marketed specifically for deer. The answer requires understanding one fact about ruminant biology. Cattle and whitetail deer are both ruminants, which means they digest plant material through a 4-chambered stomach system that ferments cellulose using microbial populations in the rumen, which is the first and largest stomach chamber. The mineral requirements for ruminants are driven by the same metabolic pathways regardless of species. Calcium for bone growth, phosphorus for energy metabolism, zinc for immune function and testosterone production, manganese for reproductive health and connective tissue, copper for red blood cell production and coat quality, selenium for antioxidant protection and muscle function. A cow needs these minerals for the same biological reasons a buck needs them. The compounds are identical. Zinc sulfate, chemical formula ZnSO4, delivers zinc ions to a cow's bloodstream through the same absorption mechanism it uses to deliver zinc ions to a deer's bloodstream. The sulfate carrier molecule does not know what species swallowed it. Research from the University of Missouri's Department of Animal Sciences has documented that free-ranging white-tailed deer on properties with livestock mineral stations showed measurably higher antler mineral density compared to deer on adjacent properties without mineral supplementation, even when the mineral source was designed for cattle rather than deer. The deer did not read the label. They tasted the minerals in the block, and their bodies told them to come back. I want to address the one legitimate concern because I had it myself before I tested this. Some livestock mineral blocks contain additives designed for cattle that could be harmful to deer. Specifically, some cattle mineral formulations include high levels of copper that exceed what a deer's liver can process. Cattle tolerate copper at much higher concentrations than deer or sheep. A mineral block labeled specifically for sheep or goats typically contains lower copper levels that are safe for deer. The Champion's Choice Trace Mineral Salt Block and similar plain trace mineral salt blocks contain copper at levels well below the toxicity threshold for cervids, which is the scientific family that includes deer, elk, and moose. But mineral blocks labeled as cattle mineral supplement or high copper formula should be avoided. Read the label. If copper is listed above 1, 500 parts per million. Choose a different block. The standard trace mineral salt blocks at farm supply stores run 300 to 500 parts per million copper, which is safe for deer based on published tolerance data from the National Research Council's nutrient requirements for small ruminants. A second study published by Texas A&M's Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Sciences tracked mineral site visitation rates on ranches in South Texas and found no statistically significant difference in deer visitation frequency between sites using commercial deer mineral products and sites using standard livestock trace mineral blocks when both were placed in identical locations with identical soil types. Same number of visits. Same duration per visit, same species response. The only difference was the price tag. I ran my own comparison on my southern Iowa lease last spring. I placed a Champion's Choice 50-pound trace mineral block at $4 on a known trail intersection between a bedding ridge and a bean field. 200 yards away, roughly 2 football fields, I placed a fresh bag of Evolved Habitat's deer cane at $22 poured into a shallow depression in the soil. Both sites got Moultrie cellular cameras. Over 6 weeks from mid-April through late May, the deer cane site recorded 26 unique deer visits. The trace mineral block site recorded 22 unique deer visits. The deer cane pulled 4 more visits, but those 4 extra visits came in the first 5 days when the apple flavoring was fresh and detectable at range. After day 7, the visitation rates were within 1 visit of each other on a weekly basis. By week 4, the deer cane site was losing visits as the product dissolved and rain washed the flavoring away. The trace mineral block was still pulling steady traffic, because a 50-pound block does not dissolve in 4 weeks, the way a 6.5-pound bag of powder does. The deer cane won the sprint, the block won the marathon, and the marathon cost $18 less. Quick pause here. Everything I just walked through, and 100 more tricks like it, is sitting inside the Buck Hunter's Bible, 2026 edition. 280 pages of the stuff that actually puts deer on the ground. And right now, if you grab it, I am throwing in the 30-day opening day roadmap completely free. That is a 60-page day-by-day preseason plan that walks you from the first scout to opening morning, so you start this season ahead of every other hunter in the woods. Link in the description, QR code on screen. This is the season you stop guessing. A guy on Rockslide posted a 3-season comparison in 2023 using Purina Antler Max at $18 per bag against a Roto Salt Trace Mineral Block at $5 on adjacent ridges in eastern Kentucky. His camera data across 3 full seasons showed a combined total of 142 deer visits at the commercial site and 137 visits at the livestock block site. 5 visits difference over 3 entire seasons. His total spend on Antler Max was roughly $216. His total spend on Roto Salt blocks was $30. He titled the post $186 worth of label. I saved it in my bookmarks and I pull it up every time I am tempted to buy a bag with a deer on it. Another thing I tested was block hardness. Livestock trace mineral blocks come in 2 densities. The standard compressed block is softer and dissolves faster in rain, lasting roughly 2 to 3 months on the ground. The weather-resistant block, usually labeled all-weather or hard, is denser and dissolves slower, lasting 4 to 6 months. For deer mineral sites, I prefer the standard softer block because it dissolves faster into the soil and creates a mineral-saturated zone around the block that deer lick and paw at aggressively. The harder block lasts longer, but the deer have to work it with their tongues to get the minerals, and some deer lose interest if the payoff per lick is too low. The softer block gives up minerals faster, which keeps the deer engaged and visiting more frequently. The commercial deer mineral industry adds 3 things that a livestock trace mineral block does not have. The first is flavoring. Deer cane uses a proprietary apple-flavored attractant. Whitetail Institute 30-U06 uses a mineral-infused granule with added scent compounds. Purina Antler Max uses a research-based mineral formula with, and I am reading this from the bag, a proprietary flavor technology. That flavoring provides an initial attractant scent that draws deer to the site. Faster on the first visit. A plain livestock mineral block takes roughly 3 to 7 days longer for deer to find, compared to a flavored commercial product, because the scent signature is less detectable at distance. The unflavored block relies on mineral volatilization from the block surface. which has a detection range of roughly 20 to 40 yards, about the distance across a two-car garage to the distance across a large backyard. The flavored product has a detection range of roughly 50 to 80 yards, because the added scent compounds are more volatile and carry further on thermals. You can close that gap for less than $1. Pour a tablespoon of vanilla extract, roughly $3 a bottle at any grocery store, and one bottle lasts 20 applications, over the top of the livestock mineral block after you place it. The vanillin compound in the extract is a volatile organic molecule that carries on thermals the same way commercial attractant flavoring does. It extends the initial detection range of the livestock block from 20 to 40 yards up to roughly 60 to 80 yards for the first 3 to 4 days until the vanilla evaporates. By that time, the deer have found the site, and the mineral content drives the repeat visits. 1 tablespoon of vanilla turns a $4 livestock block into a $4.15 mineral site with the same initial attraction range as a $22 commercial product. The specific block I recommend is the Champion's Choice Trace Mineral Salt Block in the red wrapper, available at Tractor Supply for $3.99 for 50 pounds. The red wrapper indicates trace minerals added to the sodium chloride base. A plain white salt block, which costs $3.49, contains only sodium chloride with no trace minerals. The white block will attract deer because they crave sodium, but it does not deliver the zinc, manganese, copper, and selenium that support antler growth and immune function during the summer months when mineral demand peaks. The red trace mineral block costs 50 cents more and delivers 6 additional minerals. That is the best 50 cents you will spend on your deer management program all year. Look, I am going to be straight with you. Everything I am walking through in this video is just a small piece of what is inside the Buck Hunter's Bible, 2026 edition. 280 pages. 101 field-tested tricks. And right now, you also get the 30-day opening day roadmap free with it. A 60-page day-by-day plan that gets you ready before the season even starts. I do not know how long that bonus stays in the deal. But if you have been watching these videos and thinking this could be my season, that is the move. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Make this the year. Purina and Cargill also make trace mineral salt blocks in the $4 to $6 range that contain similar mineral profiles. Read the guaranteed analysis on the side of the package and look for zinc, manganese, copper, and selenium listed as added minerals. If those 4 are present, the block will serve deer the same way it serves cattle. That 3 to 7 day discovery delay is the entire functional advantage of the commercial product. Once deer find the mineral site, whether it took 2 days or 9 days, the visitation pattern is identical because the minerals driving the repeat visits are the same compounds. The flavoring gets them there faster. The minerals keep them coming back. And the livestock block has the same minerals at a fraction of the cost. The second thing the commercial product adds is color. Deer cane powder is dark brown. Most commercial mineral mixes are earth-toned. A white livestock mineral block sitting on the forest floor looks unnatural and can spook deer on the first approach. I learned this on my first test. I placed a white 50-pound block on bare ground in open timber, and a doe that approached the site veered away at 15 yards, roughly the distance from the pitcher's mound to home plate, because the white rectangle was visually wrong in the brown and green forest floor. The fix is simple. Bury the block. Set it in a shallow depression, cover the top surface with a thin layer of dirt and leaf litter, and let rain and moisture dissolve the minerals into the surrounding soil. Within a week, the block surface darkens to a brown-gray that blends with the ground. The deer find it by smell and taste, not sight, and the visual alarm is eliminated. The third thing the commercial product adds is the word deer on the label. That word costs you $18 to $31 per purchase. The zinc sulfate inside the bag is the same zinc sulfate inside the livestock block. The sodium chloride is the same sodium chloride. The manganese sulfate is the same manganese sulfate. The label is the markup. A buddy who runs cattle and hunts whitetails on 300 acres in northeastern Oklahoma, that Ozark foothill and cross timber country east of Tulsa, where the blackjack oak and post oak ridges break into creek bottom hardwoods, and the cattle graze the valleys between the timbered ridges, has been using Champion's Choice 50-pound trace mineral blocks as his only deer mineral program. For 12 years. He places 4 blocks per year across his property at trail intersections and bench flats near bedding areas. Total annual cost is $16. He runs Reconyx Hyperfire cameras at $350 each on 2 of his mineral sites year-round, and his data over the last 5 seasons shows an average of 18 to 24 unique bucks photographed per season between April and September during the antler growth period. His best buck on camera scored roughly 155 inches. His neighbor, who runs a commercial mineral program with Deer Cane and Whitetail Institute 30-06 at roughly $200 per year, photographs 15 to 20 unique bucks in the same period on comparable acreage with similar habitat. The commercial program pulls slightly fewer deer for 12 times the cost. That is one property, and it is not proof. But the pattern matches the Texas A&M data, showing no significant visitation difference between livestock and commercial mineral sources. The placement technique I promised at the beginning came from an old rancher in the same part of Oklahoma who has been running trace mineral blocks for deer since 1985. He takes a chainsaw and cuts a flat-topped stump about 12 inches tall, roughly the height of a bowling pin, from a recently fallen hardwood. He chainsaws a shallow bowl into the top of the stump, roughly 4 inches deep and 8 inches across, about the size of a pie plate. He sets the trace mineral block into that bowl and packs dirt around the base, so the block sits flush with the stump surface. Rain dissolves the minerals from the block down into the rotting wood of the stump. The wood acts as a sponge, absorbing and holding the mineral solution in the cellulose fibers the same way a paper towel holds water. The deer lick the stump, chew on the soft rotting wood fibers, and ingest the minerals that have soaked into the wood grain. A mineral block sitting on bare ground dissolves in rain, and the minerals leach downward into the soil, past the root zone within 3 to 4 weeks. A block sitting in a rotting stump dissolves into the wood, and the wood holds the minerals at the surface, where deer can access them for 4 to 6 months. The stump extends the effective life of the block by roughly 3 to 4 times compared to a ground placement. He told me his deer have chewed some stumps down to 6 inches below ground level over a single season, excavating the mineral-saturated wood the way a dog chews a bone. The stump becomes the mineral site. By the following spring, the depression where the stump used to be is a crater filled with mineral-enriched soil that deer continue to visit even without a fresh block, because the minerals have saturated the soil profile in that spot. I tested this on a property in the SC Lowcountry, that flat coastal plain pine and live oak country between Beaufort and Walterboro, where the soil is sandy and the water table sits 2 to 3 feet below the surface, and the stump placement performed exactly as the old rancher described. A 50-pound block placed in a sawn pine stump in March was completely dissolved by August, roughly 5 months. A StealthCam DS4K at $120 on the site recorded 31 unique deer visiting between March and August, including 8 bucks. A second test site 200 yards away, roughly 2 football fields, with a $22 bag of deer cane poured directly on the ground recorded 28 unique deer in the same period. The livestock block site outperformed the commercial product site by 3 deer and cost $18 less. And the block site was still producing visits in September from the mineral-saturated stump wood after the deer cane had completely dissolved and stopped pulling deer in early July. Where the livestock trace mineral block does not work as well as a commercial deer product is in the first week of deployment, when initial attraction matters. If you need deer on camera within 48 hours for a scouting mission, a flavored commercial product like deer cane or Seameer deer at $15 will pull deer faster because the scent compounds travel further. The livestock block takes 3 to 7 days for deer to discover through natural movement and close-range scent detection. If speed of discovery is your priority, spend the extra money on the first bag and then switch to the livestock block once the deer know the location. The commercial product establishes the site. The livestock block maintains it at 1/10 of the cost. The cost comparison over a decade removes any remaining question. A hunter running a commercial mineral program with 2 bags per year at an average of $20 per bag spends $400 over 10 years. The mineral site resets to 0 every 4 to 6 weeks and requires constant replenishment. A hunter running livestock trace mineral blocks at $4 per block, 2 blocks per year, spends $80 over the same decade and each block lasts 3 to 6 months, depending on placement method. The savings of $320 over 10 years covers a Vortex Crossfire 2 rifle scope at $200 and a set of Hawk helium climbing sticks at $100, with money left over for gas to the lease. My wife asked me why I spent 15 years buying mineral bags with a deer on the label when the same minerals were in the livestock aisle for a quarter of the price. I told her I was paying for the picture of the deer. She said that was the most expensive clip art she had ever heard of. She is not wrong. I did the math on my own mineral spending over 15 years, and the number made me sit down. Roughly $330 per year, across 3 properties. 2 bags per property per season, at $20 to $30 per bag, for a total of roughly $4,950 over 15 years. I could have achieved the same results with livestock trace mineral blocks for roughly $360 over the same period. The difference of $4,590 would have paid for a good used ATV. I am not going to pretend that does not bother me. If you have run a livestock mineral program alongside a commercial deer mineral program and compared the camera data, leave the numbers below. Next time we are covering the 3 water source setups that hold more deer on small properties than any food plot ever planted. A $4 trace mineral block from the livestock aisle at your local farm supply store contains the same zinc sulfate, the same manganese sulfate, the same copper sulfate, the same sodium chloride, and the same selenium compounds as the $22 to $35 bags in the deer aisle. The deer cannot read the label. They taste the minerals, and the minerals are identical. Set it in a rotting stump. Let the rain do the work. Check your camera in 3 weeks. The block does not care what animal the manufacturer intended it for. It dissolves the same way. The deer come the same way, and your wallet thanks you the same way every single season.